I nearly hit that. I'm really frustrated about this sort of thing. Good days, I'm pleased with this. This is good efficiency, this is good output. And suddenly I looked at it. It wasn't Richard at all, it was me. 29th of July, it's just coming up to 10 to 5. We started combining about 2 o'clock this afternoon. We tried the wheat. It's 13.8 moisture. It was 24% on Friday. The weekend of hot weather has changed it dramatically. It's incredibly dusty. It's actually quite difficult to see coming up the field, and it's fine coming back down the field. It's just in one direction, which is a bit tricky. Thank goodness for GPS in taking us up and down the field without having to see. I remember when I was younger and we didn't have GPS, and we used to be sitting there trying to find the end of the wheat. Admittedly, the headers weren't 12 metres wide, which of course would have made it perhaps even worse. But yeah, very dusty conditions. The yield isn't as we were expecting. A bit early to say I need to finish the field, but we've had tremendous volatility in this field so far. We first started off, we got real mixed results on bushel weight and protein, and we're now running. So I've got to try and turn. Got to see the hedge. That's the problem. Don't know when. Oh, and the ruts. The ruts are really bad on the headlands. Crumbs. You won't want to have your auger out. Just this one bad bit where I am. Goodness, we're going slowly. Some of the ruts this year, whew, probably the deepest I've ever seen them. Freddie's currently on a subsoiler going around the fields, pulling tram lines out ahead of cultivation machinery and the mould drainer and anything that's really got to pass through them. Very tricky. So, yeah, first time I've been in a new combine apart from when they had one on demo. I didn't really have much of a go on the demonstration, but yeah, I've got the basics working okay. Sandy's got a text from him fairly early this morning to say that he was a no-show, going to the hospital with the baby en route, as he put it. Haven't heard from him yet, but you know, hopefully he won't be on a number of day waiting for the baby to come. But no doubt we'll hear from him at some point. So I'm currently on the combine, very conscious of the leaderboard. They're all very quiet at the moment on the two-way, which means they're concentrating all their eating. It's one of the two. But yeah, we're in 104 acres, which is one of the main farm fields, and it's no guess how big it is. But got Richard just over here with me. I've got two chasers. Kieran and Graham have gone in Churchfield next door, so they're combining in there. We're rowing up for straw. Henry Rolfe is down here with his team, still baling the barley. Raymond is currently Toronto, and he has just called me to say that it's still a bit wet in places and difficult, so he's having to go twice to get the depth. And Freddie's doing the tram lines, and Glyn's on the mould drainer. And then when Glyn's got caught up on the mould drain, he'll go back to ploughing. He had to stop where he was. Yes, they had a breakdown, and big shout out to Terry Birch at TWB on a Sunday for entertaining us at lunchtime, where we nipped up there, and he pressed out the bolt hole where we had the issues. It broke on the frame. I'll show you a picture of that. And yeah, ever so grateful that he's done that. So I've got to get him a steak dinner now to say thank you for doing that on a Sunday for us. Message from Michael, cousin Michael. I've started the diet today. You can see that I haven't given up the Diet Coke as I've climbed on the combine. Thank you to everybody that pointed out that it's terribly bad for me. Yeah, I get told regularly by everyone around me. Michael, I weighed in this morning and I was 15.3. So yeah, here's for starting my diet, aiming for 13.7 or 13.6. So yeah, I've chosen now. We started wheat. It's like going. It's like a religious. Where I'm going to go on a diet now for all of the wheat harvest. So fingers crossed, I'll I'll make it by the end of wheat. But judging by the yields, I think the wheat harvest might go quicker than my diet. Which I'm not ever so happy about, but anyway, there we go. This morning I got the call from the grain store office. They just received a call from somebody in the houses to say there was smoke coming up from one of our fields. That's a sort of a frightening phone call to get, so jumped in the car, tore down there, and yes, there was smoke coming from one of the cut barley fields where some of the stubble was on fire, and we had to get down there, get the chaser bin down there, which had got the water bowsers on the back. Gordon came tearing down on the forklift as well. Freddie came down on the subsoiler and was subsoiling the soil to try and mix it in with the ground. And then what you need to do with fire in those situations, as long as it hasn't, took over the field, is try and prevent it from jumping. Right next to it, the other side of the ditch, was this 104 acres of wheat. The stubble, which was alight, was right along a footpath. And it can be as simple as somebody walking along there having a cigarette, chucking it on the ground, and suddenly it gets hold of this dry stubble in these heats, and all of a sudden it smoulders away, then it turns into fire and it starts just advancing down the field as it was. Bit of a panic actually, and yeah, pleased that the bowsers worked. Putting the water out with 300 litres. But yeah, that was not the call we wanted this morning. If that had turned into a disaster, that would have changed, harvest, getting across these wheats. There was at least 180 acres of wheat right alongside it. And if the wind had turned, there would have been another 100 acres behind it. So Glyn called me on Saturday night about 20 past 9 to say the plough had broken. And where the big 12 furrow goes out, it then has this supporting arm that comes down the side, and there's a UJ joint on that which goes into the end of it. So the reason is, so when it turns over, it can turn on that, and then when you go in and out, then that's why you've got that UJ joint. So it's like basically it's a bit like having a wrist there, so it can go at different angles and move around rather than being solid, and then it just couldn't move. So that the two bolts that hold that onto that frame had sheared, and we had to go and get that part off, but they'd been welded in previously, so we had to find a way of getting them out. And Terry Birch very kindly, he's got a big press, and he managed to push them out with it's about a 300-ton press or something, and then had the right size bolts to put back in. Simon came in on Sunday morning, helped Glyn take it apart. Glyn went up to Terry, which is about an hour and 20 away, got the bits and picked up the mould drainer bits he needed, came back down, and then Simon came back out again, got the plough running, and Glyn got to carry on ploughing. So we lost about 3/4 of a day, but ever so grateful that on a Sunday that Terry came out and did that for us, because that just made all the difference, him being able to carry on Sunday afternoon and effectively all of Monday, because otherwise if we'd been delayed, he'd have had to lost all of Monday doing that. So I mean, agriculture is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day this time of year in these harvesting seasons, and we've got to have backup to allow us to operate in that fashion. Just looking at the GPS, you don't realise that actually the field gets quite narrow in the middle. And I was looking at it thinking, why has Richard left that line over there? Why has Richard done that? And suddenly I looked at it. It wasn't Richard at all, it was me. So I've now got to nip back, terribly inefficient. Hopefully they won't pick it up on the telematics and sort of ask me why this. But anyway, I'll get it mopped up before anybody notices. Richard's over there and he's in dust, so hopefully he won't be able to see. This is where these new headers come into their own, trying to pick up this laid stuff. We've having to come in this direction because we can't pick it up going downhill, can't get underneath it. Coming back up the field on this headland pass, we're having to come into the way that effectively it's fallen towards the header. Otherwise if we come in from behind, it just sort of rides over the top. Very difficult to pick up. Lucky it's warm. If it was damp, it would be really not a lot of fun at all. It's the 30th of July. We're at Horningsea. We've done Long Stanton this morning, and that was 200 acres. We've finished off yesterday. We finished off the wheat at Scotland Farm. We did well considering we only started at 3 o'clock, and by sort of 9:30 we'd knocked over about 286 acres. So quite pleased with that. The dust is really bad here. The yield's picked up here. It's spotting on the yield monitors, which, as we all know, is not something to go off there, sort of give you this false security. But it's talking about 9.9, 10.47. So yesterday, when we were combining the fields back at the farm, which is good land, historically well farmed, been in CTF since 2010, fully converted 2012. Good indices. We went into the Crusoe milling wheat, which only did 6.8 corrected weight, or 7.1 over the bridge, and then went into the Skyfall, which was adjacent field, that did 7.5. And I thought, my goodness, what are we going to do about this? Sort of spoke to Nick last night and looked at it within the budgets. What have we got? The wheat's got a yield to or price. What's the price got to be to cope with this low yield? And you need £310 a tonne to get it back up to budget level. Sort of very concerned about the yield and the ramifications financially on that. We moved the combines to Long Stanton, and we're touching 10 tonne there. And we're now over at Horningsea. We're certainly in the region of 9. It's not fully confirmed yet over the weighbridge, but the very nature of the fact that the combines are spotting at this point, 9s, 10s, and even up to 11, whereas when we achieved 6.8, 7.5, they were spotting between 7 and 8. So it sort of gave us an estimate of where we were. Interesting, but it seems to be very much variety led so far, is what's doing well and what's doing badly. Crusoe at the beginning of this journey looks to have been really badly affected, as we know, with brown rust, and actually looks to be affected into the yield. It's our first year growing Crusoe, and of course it may now be our last year growing Crusoe. But Skyfall, which is a very trusty variety for us as a milling wheat, we're currently in, and everything suggests that this is doing 9.5 plus. A bit concerned why the land at the farm's done 7.5 plus. There were some bad areas in there, all related to the Greater Cambridge Partnership, who dug up a great area and which are completely filled with blackgrass, etc. So of course that could have had a massive reduction in the overall average on that field. You only got to have, some of that was only doing 2 and 3 tonne a hectare. Well, if that's a third of a field, you can very quickly bring the overall yield down, just from what looks like a relatively small area, but actually becomes, quite a big reduction in the overall output. So we've got Yarrow and Emrys, which have come to watch us combining. He's bought his combine, and he's bought his horse chaser bin. How cool is that? And they're coming to watch us here at Horningsea combining. You're going to go see number 1 and number 4, aren't you? Yeah, because you were disappointed not to see them. These two gentlemen are from Claas UK, and Marvin is from Germany, works at the Harswinkel factory, lives about 10 minutes away, and he's what you call a super technician. So any technical faults that we get that Claas UK can't answer, they fly him out here for 4 weeks to just keep the harvest here going. It goes you go all the way up and down the whole country, anywhere they need him. And are you organising to send him?
Yes, with Jack.
Right, these two have to organise where to send him. So he spends 4 weeks living in hotels just to keep Claas combines running all harvest. And he's come to see us, hopefully not to give us the kiss of death.
G'day, it's Tristan Kincarini again from Australia. I've been chasing James Peck for the last sort of 2 days now, after Sandy had his baby girl. So it's been sort of pretty busy now, being on the wheat, pretty flat out, trying to keep up with the two, like with the headers and that now, and it's been good fun, a bit more intense, which I quite enjoy. And working alongside James now, we're getting to know each other a lot more on a personal level, which is good. And yeah, hopefully we get to build up a bit more of a friendship and a understanding of each other.
We're on day 2 of wheat, and currently I'm having to get out of a deep tram line where I've just actually been in the front of it, digging out the soil that I managed to scoop up in the front, and then the centre belt stopped working, kept flashing up with warning after warning. So I've having to come away from that. You can, you know, the winter and the late spring just keeps coming by. It doesn't seem to want to let us go this year. Yield here is looks to be doing better. Whether or not it is I'm gonna have to wait until Gordon tells me. But it's what time is it? Oh, it's 10 past 10. We're combining well. A little bit of damp now in the air, about a bit of blocking up in the front. But yeah, we're lorries are on their sort of last turnaround now, and then we fill up the chaser bins ready for the morning. The proteins in this particular block of land seem to be all over the place, quite low. Gordon and Steve are having to tip up piles now to be able to blend with the higher proteins we've had in other blocks, and that's a real challenge to get that mix right, because if you get it wrong, in the sense that you either put too much low protein in and then you dilute the good protein, or the opposite, you don't put enough in and you basically lose the high protein, and then you've got to hope that you do another farm somewhere else that's got high protein again to do it, or we're going to end up with some low protein wheat, and if we go below 12, then that stage we've lost the premium. So this is a real balance for us, and that's a real different piles, trying to work out this one's 11.9, this one's 11.1 for example, and what the ratio is and what they've got to put with it. And literally for us, you are talking, if you're talking £70 a tonne, you're talking, you know, 15,000 tonnes, you're talking, you know, £1 million. So if they get it wrong, you know, it's a real humdinger. So we've got to get it right, and otherwise we've got to do it as it comes out the store, and that's a lot of work. That is a lot of work. But variety-wise, so far Crusoe looks like it was a one-hit wonder. Graham, who worked on this particular farm for about 45 years, told me that they grew it and they couldn't get it to achieve, so maybe we just picked a bad variety. The combines, these combines, you know, this is my second day on it now, and I thought the 780s were good, but these are on another level, and I'm really getting into the swing of these, and going down the road, anything doing 40k from 28k, it's phenomenal. I mean, we're literally getting to new blocks really quickly. And these headers, I'm sort of quite keen on them. I just haven't got to really understand how they work yet, but so far, really impressed with the combine. I couldn't be happier. Flynn's in the cab, he's happy. He's got back into the rhythm of being in the combine. This is what I think this is my favourite job in farming. I really enjoy this. Well, that was going really well until I blocked it up at the front. Extraordinary, these new headers, they actually just sort of stop, so you don't block the machine. It must be their way of anti-blocking, but it's just sort of just stops in front. What's happening is knife bar pressure operated. Anyway, I'm getting a lot of warning signals, but what seems to be happening is that the power now, because it's getting damp, it's getting chewier, the power's getting sucked out of the engine. It's really struggling to cut and everything, so if you go too quickly, it just sort of stops and prevents it from bunging up. But we're on the last thing. So hectareage wise, So just so I tell you where we all are, because of course that's what we're all worried about. Who is in the lead? Now I broke down for an hour and 20 minutes this morning, so that's my excuse. I think it's sabotage, but a hydraulic connection wasn't sealing. So currently you've got Graham at 58.87. No, sorry, Kieran, beg your pardon, that's Kieran. So he's nearly 60 hectares. Graham has done 54.35. I've done 53 dead, so Graham's ahead of me. That's because I've been digging out the front. And Richard's 48.7, so they've done really well today. So hopefully Richard will get over 50. Looks like Kieran's going to get 60. So he's going to take the hat home for being the highest. And I haven't put them to show, sadly. But at least that means we've already done over 200 hectares today. So we're getting on well. So good support from the grain store and the lorries, keeping us going. I nearly hit that. I'm really frustrated about this sort of thing, where they come and put these blasted sensors in the ground, and then they put some makeshift fence around, which is obviously falling over from cheap wooden things. I nearly hit that. It's the same with these telegraph poles. We have to keep going round, so if we go straight through, it's going to take 3 seconds. As soon as we get a pole or something like this, it's going to take me 3 minutes to cut round this. And then that 3 minutes is a 60% increase in time, but yet they want to pay us pounds, if anything, per year. I haven't had any money for these in the last 2 years, and the telegraph poles literally trying to farmers fob us off for a couple of quid. Well, if you're running these combines at £1,200 an hour or something, I'm going to have to work it out, and then you're messing about for 3 minutes round a pylon or something. That's just one operation. But if you have 18 operations in a year going around these poles, there's a big cost to these. Farmers should be compensated accordingly and properly, because these electricity companies and these others are making absolute fortune. But yet the farmer seems to get the rough end of the deal, doesn't even get a free connection on electricity. And of course, if you hit your combine or something, you'll end up with thousands of pounds worth of damage if you don't even write the header off. And then there's a safety aspect of these pylons as well. If these pylons getting caught in people's machinery with people in the cabs, you know, with the potential to kill people. Look, I'm still going around this one post, and this is to do with Anglia Water. It's 11:30 at night. We've just finished combining, and we've done 226 hectares today, which is pretty pleasing. It's about, you know, if the yield is as I sort of anticipate it to be, we've done about 2,100 tonnes today into the grain store, and the lorries we've had up to 11 Arctic lorries running with us today to keep us going, and moved twice, and some other combines moved 3 times. Graham and Kieran, so they've done well. They've actually topped the leaderboard today. Kieran's done 61 hectares and Graham's done 58. So unfortunately, that's I'm still at 3rd place. So I think I'm going to have to start combining at 2 o'clock this morning. So I'll make sure I get ahead of them. 9,954 subscribers, so we're only 46 away, and we've got 1 day left, being the 31st tomorrow. So fingers crossed we make the 10,000, but looks like we're getting there. So thank you everybody that hit subscribe, much appreciative. A couple of questions I know that you've asked. Sandy has had a lovely baby girl, and so we're very pleased with him and his wife, and hope they enjoy their new daughter. So I'm currently on the there's my security guard who's gone out to the combines. You have to just excuse me a moment. Yeah, so Simon and Mark are going to kindly stay out with the combines, so that basically they're not left alone out in the field. So they're going to look after them, because we haven't got time to entertain that sort of nonsense. The couple of questions. So DAF or Volvo? Yes, I used to have 16 DAFs at one point, and we did move to Volvo. And the main motivation was I couldn't keep up with the unreliability and the basic cost of running those lorries. So we moved to Volvo, and quite frankly, we never looked back. And the drivers, their top choices were, when we asked the 12 drivers, 10 said Volvo, 2 said Scania. Second choice, 10 said Scania, 2 said Volvo. So it was apparent to me that actually they were the two brands in which they aspired to drive. So we moved to the Volvo, because they built the chassis light enough for us to be able to carry 30 tons, whereas the Scania, they couldn't make them lighter. So weight for us is payload, and that is important for revenue terms. Slatted moldboard plough, yes, I have demoed one, and in some respects I'll say it was superior. And it is a good idea. We obviously bought a second-hand plough, and it already had the full moldboard on, so we've effectively carried on with what's on there. But no, I do actually rate the slatted moldboard. And ploughing, why do we plough early? Because actually on this heavy land, while it's dry, or in the condition it is, where it gives it time to dry, it works best for it. If you plough it dry, then it comes springtime, you'll generally work it dry. If you plough it wet, you'll generally find that it will work wet. So we're quite keen on ploughing early, to start creating the seabeds for the spring. 226 hectares. I'm really pleased with the guys all round. Everybody's worked really hard to make sure we had a good day today. Hopefully tomorrow will be a good day. Everything's starting to pull together. Everybody's working as a team. You've got grain store, you've got baling teams, you've got the cultivation teams, you've got the haulage side of the team, and then you've got the farming. Each department has to pull together to make days like this happen. Otherwise it all just starts to snarl up. Cultivations have been getting on well today. Glyn's mould draining, Freddie's subsoiling, he's now putting his joker on for tomorrow. Raymond's been Tiranoing, and Glyn's going to go back to ploughing. But we're actually, these are good days. I'm pleased with this. This is good efficiency, this is good output, and this is what it's all about. So look forward to seeing you in a few days' time.